Welcome to GamerDads, Raising Kids and Slaying Bosses, the only podcast where sleep deprivation is a gameplay mechanic and the final boss is always bedtime. So grab your controller, refill that cold coffee, and join us for another episode of GamerDads. Because we might be parents, but we're still gamers at heart. This is episode 1.
Okay, so you ever have that moment, like you're halfway through the day and you're trying to remember, did I actually brush my teeth this morning?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's all a blur.
Right.
Between packing lunches and making sure everybody's got their shoes on. And did I actually take care of myself at all?
It's like a survival mode autopilot.
Totally. Yeah. And then on top of that, we're all trying to stay informed about the latest and greatest and all things geeky.
Which is no small feat these days.
Seriously. So we're here to be your shortcut, your cheat sheet to staying up to date on the stuff that matters without adding to the chaos.
Right, cutting through the noise.
Exactly. And today we're going deep into a topic that's near and dear to many of our hearts.
Yeah.
I'm sure upcoming space games in 2025.
A very exciting prospect.
Oh, absolutely. And the best part, we're basing our deep dive on insights from a source that totally gets our busy lives. The YouTube channel, GamerDads, Raising Kids and Slaying Bosses.
Now they get it.
Right. They know the struggle's real. So let's buckle up and explore these cosmic adventures together. Maybe discover a few that are actually worth sacrificing some precious sleep for, once the kids are finally down.
The dream.
All right, so the first game on our list is Jump Ship.
Jump Ship, formerly known as Hyperspace. So what's really grabbing attention here is the seamless transitions between different gameplay elements.
Seamless. How are we talking buttery smooth?
You're gonna imagine going from piloting your spaceship to spacewalking to on-foot exploration, all without those jarring loading screens.
Whoa, hold on. So no more staring at a loading bar while the kids are running around causing mayhem?
Precisely. It's about maintaining that immersion. And honestly, that's been the holy grail for space games for a while now.
Yeah. I mean, other games have tried,
They have GamerDads specifically mentioned Star Citizen, which has been in development forever.
Forever, yeah. Ambitious, but not quite there yet.
Exactly. And the GamerDads guys put it hilariously. They said, these transitions got to be faster than their kids can go from asking for a bedtime story to passing out mid-sentence.
Oh my gosh, that's so true though, right? It's 1 minute they're begging for another chapter and the next they're snoring.
And then there's the dynamic mission system, which sounds pretty game-changing.
Dynamic mission, so every time you play, it's something different.
Yeah, no more grinding the same repetitive tasks over and over. Think of it as the opposite of reading Goodnight Moon for the 100th time.
Oh God, don't even remind me of Goodnight Moon. My kids wore out that book.
So for busy parents like us, it's all about replayability without the fatigue, right? Maximizing those precious gaming minutes.
Absolutely, and it raises an interesting question though. Can procedurally generated missions really be that engaging long term?
That's the key question, right? Will it feel fresh and unpredictable, or will it eventually become repetitive in its own way?
Okay, good point. But here's another thing that caught my eye. The no-fix class system.
Oh yeah, so you're not locked into one specific role. You can switch between piloting, engineering, exploration, depending on the situation.
Now that speaks to me because in my daily life, I'm basically a jack of all trades. Chef, chauffeur, therapist, you name it.
The GamerDads guys made a funny comparison too. It's like being a parent, right? Constantly switching hats.
Exactly. And I feel like that flexibility would be perfect for those of us who can only squeeze in gaming sessions, between diaper changes and bedtime stories.
Adapt on the fly, right? Just like we do in real life. And there's even a detail about having to put out fires on your ship.
Wait, really? Literal fires?
Yeah, which GamerDads brilliantly compared to dealing with unexpected household disasters. When your kid decides to make a volcano out of baking soda and vinegar but forgets the containment part.
Oh yeah, the volcanic eruption in the living room classic.
So it's like they're blending sci-fi excitement with those relatable parenting moments.
That's pretty cool. And it sounds like we might not have to wait too long to experience this chaotic fun for ourselves because Jump Ship is aiming for early access this year.
Oh, that's soon.
All right, moving on to the next contender, Exodus. And this one sounds like it'll hit a sweet spot for fans of a certain legendary space RPG.
Exodus is definitely playing the nostalgia card, specifically targeting Mass Effect fans. They even mentioned the whole trilogy and, had some interesting thoughts on Mass Effect 3.
Okay, careful. Now, Mass Effect 3, that's a sensitive topic for some.
Right, but they wisely steered clear of Andromeda.
Oh, yeah, good call.
But yeah, the connection to Mass Effect is huge, right? Those games set the bar for storytelling, character development, and world building.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those were like the golden years of space RPGs for me.
Yeah.
Countless hours lost in those worlds.
And the team behind Exodus is seriously stacked archetype entertainment with folks from BioWare, Naughty Dog, 343 Industries, even Electronic Arts.
Like a gaming all-star team. GamerDads called them the gaming equivalent of the Avengers, and honestly, that's not an exaggeration.
The pedigree is definitely there, and the source material emphasizes that Mass Effect inspiration, promising expansive environments, compelling narratives, and memorable characters.
So the big question is, can they actually live up to those expectations?
Right. Big shoes to fill. But the premise itself is pretty intriguing. Humanity has abandoned Earth in the distant future.
Abandoned Earth? Why? What happened? Did we finally run out of coffee?
GamerDads had a funny theory. They suggested maybe it was because of an overwhelming amount of discarded plastic toys.
Okay, that is a disturbingly plausible scenario. My house is basically a plastic toy minefield.
And get this, the alien races you encounter are actually genetically altered descendants of Earthling.
Whoa, hold on. So, like, our future pets evolved into alien civilizations.
It's a cool twist, right?
Yeah.
GamerDads compared it to the evolution of kids into teenagers, going from adorable toddlers to these, grunting, screen-addicted beings.
Are you too real?
But the really fascinating part is the time dilation mechanic.
Time dilation. So, like, time moves differently in space.
Exactly. You go on a mission and years or even centuries pass on Earth.
Whoa, so you come back, and everyone you know is either ancient or gone.
GamerDads had a perfect analogy. They said it's like going on a quick grocery run and coming back to find your house has aged a decade.
Oh man, I can totally relate to that feeling. It's like time warp speed when you're a parent.
So this mechanic adds a really interesting layer of consequence to your choices, right?
Yeah, it's not just about completing the mission. It's about the impact on your home world and the people you leave behind.
But it also begs the question, could it create a sense of disconnect?
Yeah, would you still feel invested in a world that's drastically different from the one you left?
It's a valid concern. And speaking of timelines, Exodus is currently slated for late 2025 or maybe even 2026.
Game release dates are about as reliable as my kids' promises to clean their rooms.
GamerDads nailed it. They compared it to telling your kids you're leaving in 5 minutes.
5 minutes could mean anything in parent time.
All right, let's shift gears a bit from epic space operas to something with a more strategic focus. Falling Frontier.
Falling Frontier. Yeah, this one's been on my radar for a while. It's a space RTS that's been in development for a good while now.
And GamerDads really emphasize its scope. It's not just your typical RTS. You've got exploration infrastructure, building, complex combat logistics, ship design, even crew management.
Okay, so like a lot more depth than just building a Zerg Rush army.
Exactly. It's about thinking long-term, managing resources, and adapting to different situations.
The combat sounds particularly interesting. They talked about targeting specific ship subsystems and how smaller ships can actually have an advantage.
Yeah, it's not just about brute force, it's about exploiting weaknesses and using tactics.
And they mentioned the possibility of collateral damage, too.
Oh yeah, which they compared to the classic parenting dilemma of disciplining one child and accidentally traumatizing all the others.
Oh man, the ripple effect of parental decisions. I know it well.
But what really caught my attention was the crew management system.
Oh yeah, tell me more about that.
So you have named crew members with unique traits and abilities.
So like not just faceless soldiers.
Nope. These are individuals you get to know and care about, and you can even capture enemy officers and try to recruit them.
Wait, seriously, you can steal enemy crew members?
Yeah, it's like a high-stakes game of space chess. GamerDads had this hilarious analogy about a grandmother's secret meatloaf recipe being compromised by a captured enemy chef.
Okay, that is amazing. I need to hear that story.
And there's this really cool navigation interface. You can zoom out to keep an eye on the big picture while battles are raging.
So like having eyes in the back of your head?
Exactly. Every parent's dream superpower, right? Because let's be honest, we need all the help we can get keeping track of everything.
Seriously. And with a current release date of 2025, Falling Frontier is definitely one to watch for all the strategy fans out there.
Definitely a lot to be excited about.
All right, let's jump to another game now. This one is Star Miner. And it sounds like a really interesting mix of genres.
Star Miner? Yeah. GamerDads described it as a space simulation that blends exploration, RTS mining, and even a bit of tower defense.
Whoa, that's a lot going on. Is it like a kitchen sink approach to game design?
They called it the pantry casserole of game genres.
Okay, I kind of love that description.
Like you're throwing everything in there and hoping it turns out delicious.
And did they get to actually play it?
They did, and they seemed genuinely impressed.
Okay, so it's not just a jumbled mess.
It sounds like they managed to make all those elements work together. You start with a small ship and gradually mine resources from asteroid fields and space debris.
Oh, so kind of like starting from scratch and building your way up.
Exactly, and GamerDads had a hilarious comparison. They said it's like cleaning your kid's room only in space.
Oh, yeah, I can see that piles of junk everywhere, except it's valuable minerals instead of dirty socks.
And the modular construction system sounds really cool.
Modular construction, so like building your own ships and space stations.
Exactly. You can customize your fleet for specific tasks and even build up your own space bases.
Okay, that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love games that give you that level of creative freedom.
And the Newtonian flight mechanics add another layer of depth.
Newtonian flight mechanics, so like realistic physics.
Yeah, you can even disable the automated flight assist for a more hardcore simulation experience.
So like taking off the training wheels.
GamerDads compared it to turning off the parental controls on your kids' devices.
Oh yeah, letting them loose on the internet. Good luck with that.
And the game offers a variety of modes, too. Campaign, survival, sandbox. You can choose how you want to play.
That's a good thing, because sometimes you only have like a half hour to spare, and other times you can really dive in.
It's about catering to different play styles and time commitments.
All right, last but not least, we have Alliance of the Sacred Sons. And this one sounds like a grand strategy game with a really personal touch.
Alliance of the Sacred Sons. Yeah, it's a 4X game, so explore, expand, exploit, exterminate, but with a big focus on character development and house management.
4X with house management, that's interesting.
GamerDads actually called it a 5X game, with the 5th X being exist.
Exist. Okay, so like your own survival is part of the challenge.
Exactly. Your character isn't immortal. You can die or be deposed, and the game ends.
Whoa, that adds a whole new level of stakes to the game.
And you have limited action points each turn, so you have to prioritize your decisions carefully.
Oh man, that sounds like my life every day. So many things to do, so little time.
GamerDads made a funny comparison. They said it's like trying to decide whether to shower, sleep, or have 5 minutes of peace and quiet.
Seriously, I feel that struggle every day.
And then there's the whole aspect of managing relationships with different noble houses, each with their own agendas.
Oh, so like political intrigue and backstabbing.
It sounds like a GamerDads compared it to dealing with other parents at school. You know, some are allies, some are rivals.
Oh yeah, the school parent social scene. That's a whole other game.
And your own personal survival is tied to all of this too.
So it's not just about conquering the galaxy, it's about staying alive long enough to see it happen.
GamerDads had a great analogy. They said, it's like trying to cook dinner for a bunch of picky eaters the pressure is on.
Oh man, I feel seen. That is the most stressful part of my day.
So Alliance of the Sacred Sons sounds like a really unique and compelling take on the grand strategy genre.
It does, and that wraps up our deep dive into the world of upcoming space games in 2025.
It's quite a lineup.
It is from seamless transitions to time dilation to political intrigue and personal survival. There's a lot to look forward to.
And hopefully at least one of these games will be amazing, you know, once we actually find the time to play them.
That's the big question, right? Between work and kids and life in general. When do we actually get to enjoy our hobbies?
But GamerDads had a funny suggestion. Maybe we can convince our partners that these games are educational.
Like telling them that Star Miner's basically a physics lesson?
Exactly. You know, expanding our knowledge of Newtonian mechanics.
I'm willing to try anything at this point.
Hey, it's worth a shot.
A huge thank you to you for joining me on this cosmic journey. And of course, a massive shout out to the awesome folks at GamerDads, raising kids and slaying bosses, for the entertainment and insights.
They're the best.
And to all of you listening out there, thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedules to explore these new worlds with us.
We appreciate you.
Now go forth, brave adventurers. Maybe sneak in a few minutes of gaming if the kids allow. And remember, even amidst the chaos of everyday life, there's always time for a little adventure.
Even if it's just a virtual one.
Until next time, keep slaying those bosses, both real and digital.
And may the loot drops be ever in your favor.
You got it.